Okay, so I'm going to present now Rona's paper, which is a very good paper, and I enjoyed very much reading it. I start with that. When I first read the paper, the following saying came to my mind, because it's there. This is, of course, the answer that Mallory gave when he was asked, why do you climb the Everest? Why do you want to climb the Everest? Why do you need to climb the Everest? And he said, because it's there. So why do we need a convention that will deal with violence against women? Because it's not there. And it's that simple. It's as simple as that, isn't it, Rona? Okay, now I'll go deeper into it. Rona brings up two arguments. First, from a theoretical point of view. Well, there is a document which is almost 40 years old, isn't it, that deals with discrimination against women. And then we have interpretation that says that violence is sort of discrimination. So perhaps we don't need a special convention because we have already the discrimination convention. But as Rona convincingly argues, why do we require interpretation, which is sometimes forced, sometimes artificial, instead of referring specifically to a problem which is acute, which is present in almost every country all over the world, and it is high time to face it directly. And indeed, women are certainly victims to a long line of harms, prostitution, discrimination, and many others, but also violence. And violence is a major problem. Some will claim even more urgent than the other problems or the other harms that I mentioned. Now for the other argument, the pragmatic argument. Now Rona says that if we will have a convention, it will make things better, because the protection that the states will feel obliged to install will be higher. This is true, I can tell, I'm convinced. I'm thinking about one example that we had in Israel. In Israel, Israel is part of the transnational consensus about trafficking, sex trafficking. Sex trafficking is bad, but not until we had this annual report by the U.S. that graded countries according to their commitment to abolishing trafficking, that Israel doubled, tripled its efforts in order to fight the phenomena. Now the situation in Israel is supposed to be, this problem is supposed to be solved in Israel. I don't know if it is really like that, but there's no doubt that since there was an international enlistment under this issue of fighting trafficking, the situation got much better. So, one must wonder why there isn't a convention. Now, Rona gives several explanations. One interesting one is the claim or the belief or the tendency to be gender neutral in international law. That means that when we are applying, when we are thinking about new instruments, new convention, the ideal is to phrase them as referring equally to both sexes, to men and to men and women. There's also other issues, as usual, the issue of enforcement. How will it be enforced? There are some complications of, we'll need new funding, we'll have to appoint a new rapporteur for this matter. But I think that, as argued in the paper, these are all issues that are very easy to solve. I'll mention only what I think about this contention about being gender neutral. Well, it is difficult to apply a principle of being gender neutral in a situation of violence against women, because most cases of violence are carried out against women. So I don't see how the gender neutrality aspiration can be valuable or helpful in this sense. Last point, I was wondering, we were discussing it a little in our emails, and maybe I'll ask you about that, Rona. If indeed we are going to succeed in having this new convention, I'm thinking about prostitution, and you have a definition of violence in your paper, which says violence that is directed against a woman because she is a woman, or that affects women disproportionately. It includes acts that inflict physical, mental, or sexual harm, or suffering, threat, or such acts, coercion, and other deprivation of liberty. I'm wondering, I'm not sure about the answer, by the way, whether prostitution will be considered violence according to this definition. I'm sure that the way prostitution is defined in